Hello and welcome back, guys. Could very well be the final game that we have for you tonight. It is Luccini going up against Union Gaming. Game number 2. Union taking a quick and brutal game number 1 to secure themselves, or very close to secure themselves, their chance at moving on in the upper bracket to the semifinals. Speaking of, I have said brackets for you guys. We'll take a quick look at those just so you can get you guys caught up in what we're looking at here. So Sad Boys versus DDA. Well, Sad Boys actually won that series, so they have moved on to the semifinal. The winner of this matchup will go on to face them in the semifinal to go to the finals. Well, both teams really want to get that nice cozy spot in the semis, and well, only one team will get it. Luccini, they definitely need to mix something up and come right back on into this game with a fresh mind, or else if they get trapped in the same pit that they got in the last game, I don't think things are going to look very bright for them. But Union, obviously a very skilled team, definitely capable of taking this one quickly, efficiently, and making a point. So we'll have to see where this game goes, but for the meantime, it is going to be Union Gaming versus Luccini, game number 2. I'm your host, Chicago Ted, for you tonight, the English caster for this. I'm taking over for Anne Leclerc, who had a little bit of difficulty continuing to cast on with the internet. So shout-outs to her. Been doing a great job with this tournament so far, and I hope that I'm able to fill the massive shoes that were left behind for me. So with the first couple of bands coming out already, we've got the Gyrocopter and the Queen of Pain. The Gyro, a bit of a respect band coming from last game, but also a very common band across the board. So definitely something that we can expect to be banned out pretty much first in most games, but just because Union Gaming ran it so well in the last game, I don't think Luccini can afford to let it through the pool. Now they're going to go ahead and grab themselves an Undying, and I feel like this is Luccini's style. They go very, or at least from what I've seen, they've got a lot of gear towards the early game. Last game they picked the Pugna, the Shadow Fiend, the Darkseer, the Lena, heroes that can fight very early and very efficiently with a huge amount of magical damage and good coercive team fight. But Union Gaming kind of ripped that apart by having such an amazing laning phase. They had got a couple of pickoffs before the bell even sounded, and then just used that to continue to push their lead further and further, finding pickoffs, finding kills, going pretty much uncontested until finally the grand fight ended in a heartbeat. Luccini couldn't stand up to what they had amassed in terms of their gold lead and their experience lead. So we'll see if Union Gaming can again take that whole systematic approach and tear down Luccini's early game aggression, or if this time Luccini can tighten up a little bit, throw some WD-40 in between some of those cogs and get them rolling smoothly and play their machine out efficiently and win with it. So going into reserve time, Luccini, their second pickup. If we go along those early game, it's going to be a Leshrac coming out for them. So that could be either the carry Leshrac, which we all kind of expect, but it could play in really any position, carry, mid, or even go back towards that support, which we all kind of know and love, except not really.
10 seconds to go.
But Witch Doctor comes out for Union Gaming, and that's a very good early game support. I love Witch Doctor. He's kind of like a Lion. You draft him, and he doesn't have really many downsides in lane. I mean, he's got a stun, not a very reliable one like a Lion does, but he's also got a heal, and he's got a way to make sure that kills will always happen. You drop a Maledict on someone, and no matter what happens, if you get him and they just barely get away, well, they're dead. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. And even if you don't kill them, it does a huge amount of harass. Either forces them out of the lane or gives you a chance to make an even more successful attempt at their life a little bit further down the road. So What are Luccini going to pick to come on to go
Reserve
against
time.
this? I mean, they're already getting rid of the Bristleback, which is smart considering they'd have to go against a Witch Doctor Bristleback, not something that you exactly want to do. I mean, I think their idea here is that they want to be the ones to take the team fights as long as possible and win them. And that might mean that maybe they go for something like a Necrophos in here or a Dazzle or something that can elongate their team fights and make things difficult for Union Gaming, because the more damage they're able to do over the course of the team fight, well, of course, obviously, the greater chance they have at winning the team fight. But, I mean, looking at it, Undying, Leshrac, both do a huge amount of damage over a fairly long period of time. So they want to kind of go along that lines. I really think that maybe they could have picked the Viper here. I don't think Union Gaming really had it within their arsenal to grab it unless they wanted to run it as a safe lane carry. Definitely viable, but it may have been better on Luccini's lineup. We'll have to see. This could be something that Union run all the time, and I give a lot of credit to Luccini if that's the reason why they get rid of it. But coming into this, again, I'm coming in. These are the first couple of series that I'm casting of this tournament, so my familiarity with these teams may be a little bit below par. So I'm still learning as I go, taking notes on these teams and making sure that by the next time I cast them, I know them like the back of my hand. But Viper, as we said, getting taken out. Broodmother and Shadow Demon going the way of the grave for Union Gaming. And here we go, where we start to see their lineups start to round themselves out. Union probably going to go for their second support. Maybe they grab themselves a Lion or go an offlaner and pick up something like a Tidehunter, a Clockwork, and just go aggressive from that point forward. But again, the cards are on their table. These picks, not really the easiest to guess right now unless a very obvious combination comes out. Like,
Puck.
Well, not like Puck, but Puck will get picked up, and this will probably be their offlaner. So they did pick up that role. I don't think they're going to throw Shadow Demon in any other role other than the mid lane. We have seen Shadow Demons go safe lane, but that's not exactly the most reliable place to put them. And lanes, typically, the side lanes are more contested than you would like for a Shadow Fiend. Denying against this guy has got to be the easiest thing in the world, at least earlier on. The longer you can keep from getting that first couple of last hits, the better chance you have at just straight up winning that lane. So Union, Shadow Fiend, Witch Doctor, Puck. Is this a Drow lineup for them? That kind of begs the question as we take another look at what these next couple of picks come out to be. Luccini, if they go along this same early game aggression, maybe they go for their Darkseer pickup as they have done in the past. Or, again, the Necrophos, the Dazzle, potentially an Omni Knight or an Abaddon, something like that. Take very, very long team fights where they can get as much damage off over a period of time. But they're actually diving pretty heavy into their reserve time. That begs the question, are they quite ready to go into this game? And they're going to end up picking a Lich.
Radiant's pick.
Not quite sure where I see this fitting into the draft, although I do like the long-range disable through BKB that it offers on the Witch Doctor, canceling out that Death Ward at any given time. Witch Doctor with the Park with the Silence will be able to stop that from happening if the situation demands. So it's a band-aid for the situation, but I'm not quite sure it's the solution.
5 seconds.
But again, a little bit too early to tell right now exactly what they grabbed this guy to do.
Reserve time.
As now we're heading into reserve time, a very, very long drafting stage coming out from this team. I mean, even long by my standards. Usually when you drop into about 30 seconds of reserve time for both teams, it starts to get very, very drawn out. But it gives plenty of time to think for both teams, especially if maybe the enemy starts messing with their mind a little bit, which could be happening for both these teams. You never know what's going on in their drafting head, unless you bring them on for an interview while they're drafting, but that's not really that possible. 15 seconds for Union Gaming. They are really running this one low. And again, things like
10 seconds to go.
Lion, Earthshaker as well. Some pretty
Dyer's
standard, very potent supports should be their option. Maybe they were deciding between the Lion and the Earthshaker or the Wardrobe. You never know, but Earthshaker coming out of this field. Earthshaker Witch Doctor is a very scary combination of supports. They're very reactionary. They have a lot of counter initiation potential. Their initiation, although the Fisher is great, I mean, Witch Doctor's stun isn't exactly the
10
greatest
seconds to go.
follow-up. Nothing like a Light Strike Array or a Split Earth. So if you can catch it around creeps, it becomes very good. Luccini, though, they're going to grab themselves a Slark. And I got to say, I wouldn't have seen that one coming. But at the same time, it makes a little bit of sense. So Union Gaming, if they want to go for that Drow strat, they still
10
have it
seconds
open to them.
go.
But maybe it's a little bit less...
Dyer's
I don't know. Maybe not going to go for it. Leshrac will probably be taking the mid here for Luccini. Slark in the safe lane. Undying. Maybe Undying Lich duel off. I could imagine that would work out very, very well for them. And then put a dual support with the Slark. With the line being taken out, that kind of sucks because he is pretty much your go-to support.
Pick.
But there is still plenty left in the pool for them to pick. And plenty that work out very well for their lineup. Union, though, with their final pick. Axe gets banned out. Not quite sure where the Axe ban came from. Unless they were thinking that it was going to be a solo save puck and Axe, Witch Doctor, Earthshaker, aggressive
10
tri-lane.
seconds to
But
go.
kind of an interesting ban out for them. I'd
5
like to hear
seconds.
their rationale on that one. Wind Ranger will come out, so not the Ranger that I
Dyer's
thought.
pick.
It's instead going to be the Lyrelay. That's their... God, is that their carry? Maybe they run Witch Doctor, Earthshaker, Wind Ranger aggressive with a puck solo safe and Shadow Fiend mid. That would make a little bit of sense, roaming Witch Doctor and Earthshaker. Or yeah, maybe it's just a roaming Witch Doctor and Earthshaker and 3 solo laners. That could very
10
well
seconds
be it.
to go.
Luccini, though, with their last pick, probably going to be, as we
5
said, that
seconds.
support pick, and they're going to go for the Rubik. So good versus
Radiant's
the Earthshaker,
pick.
good versus the Witch Doctor, decent versus a Shadow Fiend, decent versus a Wind Ranger. Not exactly what you expect for to be good versus a puck, but still can hold his own. So all these interactions definitely working out. So again, we've got Luccini versus Union Gaming. Game 2, Union Gaming sweeping Game 1. Almost no contest. We went down and discussed it a little bit earlier on in this draft. No use beating it like a dead horse right now. As we're in a fresh game, Luccini, they need to blink their eyes, take a step back, and really figure out what they need to do to tighten up their play. Because if they can take this one, they have a chance going to a
10
Game
seconds
3
to go.
and have a shot to move on to the semifinals and the
5
upper bracket,
seconds.
which they've surprised a lot so far. It would be amazing if they could continue to work this sort of Cinderella story that they've got going on here. But as we know,
Everybody gets
fairy
set.
tales don't always come true, and there isn't always a happy ending. So we'll have to see if Luccini can grab theirs by force or if Union Gaming deny it before it even happens. Jerry will be on the Witch Doctor for Union Gaming. It is going to be Nightmare on the Earthshaker, Citadel on the puck. Ben will be playing the Shadow Fiend, and Schofield on the Wind Ranger. Meanwhile, for Luccini, the Dark Horse, the man in black, the one who no one expected to even be here, the Sword will be on the Undying. Kamuzi will be on the Lich, with Atsuya Fabuki on the Leshrac. Angel Amon will be playing the Rubik, and finally, last but not least, Eliadel will be on the Slark. So, potentially the last game of the day. Certainly not the least
All
game
right,
of the
carry
day.
on.
And, well, it looks like we've got a bit of a string of pauses. Not really sure what they're going to do here, but I'll just kind of go with the flow right now. So, Ben has making his way up towards the top lane, but he is going to, it's probably just for the rune. I do still think that he will be taking this mid position. I stand by how I thought the lanes were going to be for Union Gaming. Luccini, I really would like this dual off lane. It looks like they're going to do exactly that. So, hey, I think I was 100% on these lanes. Would you look at that? Anyway, enough patting myself on the back for something that really wasn't that hard. We've got the Ben has a Citadel. They're waiting for this top rune. Now, can they get it? They're going to be going up against Atsuya Fubuki. Is the Rubik close by to try to cliff someone? Anglamon making his way down south. Walking fast, racing past, and he's cliff bound. He sees Nightmare, but who's really spotting out who? He makes his way up. Now going in close is a bit of a risky play for anyone. And this is actually kind of like a factor that kind of keeps Union Gaming off the rune, but it's not dissuading them at all. In fact, Citadel just walks it up, he grabs the rune, and that's it. The bottom rune will go to the sword, so he's got a nice bounty rune for himself, and looks like a dodge coming out as the sword and Camusi make their way up to the top lane with Eliadel and Anglamon going towards the bottom. They're going to be up against the Wind Ranger, though, with an aggressive tri-lane. Actually, okay, I was wrong. Huh. Stand corrected. It is aggressive tri-lane with Ben has, Nightmare, and Jerry. Wow, that's gonna throw, if it's throwing me for a loop, I can almost imagine what Luccini is saying about this, but they can't exactly do too much about this, too. Like, they're gonna go ahead and try to get as much, decay stacks off as possible, but they're not really grouping up as 3, making decay not as effective as they'd like. Usually, you want to catch 3 per cast, and it's still level 1 right now, which means on top of that, it isn't exactly the greatest spell for him to have right now anyway, so hopefully he can get a couple of good stacks, boost up his strength as much as possible so he can at least survive this lane, because one Fisher and he's pretty much caught out right now. Trying to last hit these creeps from the low ground, but he will make his way in and get a couple of them for himself. But this is probably letting him know that there is an observer ward here in the jungle for Union Gaming. Do they have any sentry wards or anything to try to de-ward it? Looks like not, so they're just going to let this one happen for the time being. Meanwhile, Schofield, he's doing fairly well going up against Anglamon and Eliadel. Both of these guys are actually, by and large, very weak laners. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if they just get completely and outright destroyed by this Wind Ranger, mostly because she can just harass them for free. Like, what are they going to do? If they leash her, she wind runs. If they telekinesis her, well, it's not exactly the greatest stun, so you can see a Fade Bolt coming out, try to reduce her damage, and it is going to be fairly effective. I mean, she's down to 33 damage right now. Or 43 damage right now, but it doesn't last all that long. And, I mean, again, she just goes right back to doing her thing. Harassing as much as possible, playing it safe. She's got boots, so she's not really in any immediate danger. Meanwhile, top lane, a couple of decay stacks. Can they clean up Jerry? They need one more decay. 6 seconds, not going to come out. Camusi still alive. Ben has taken a huge amount, but in comes Nightmare. The Fisher goes. The sword is blocked. They've got the paralyzing cask, and they should be able to bring him down. First blood going to Ben has as a decay. Only catching one. Had it gotten both Ben has and Nightmare, maybe he'd have lived there. But again, things can't always go in the optimal way for anyone, so giving away a kill that they would not have wanted to give up in this dodge so far not really being effective. But again, I'm not quite sure they were expecting these lanes to come out just the way they did. And look at this. Schofield is just laying into a Eliadel, and Anglamon can't exactly do anything, because if he tries trading hits with Schofield, look what happens. I mean, just chunk, down further and further. The HP pool just, it goes faster than Wind Ranger can wind run, so there is going to be a grave coming up. They want to try to clean down Nightmare, but they can't quite close the distance. These the zombies, they do have a little bit of a slow on them, but it doesn't give enough for the sword to even catch up. And he doesn't have boots, so no real way to close that distance anyway. And I don't know. Luccini, looks like the only real lane that they're going is really going their way is the mid lane here. They've got Atsuya Fubuki. He's leading in CS against Citadel and doing a fairly good job, but how much is that going to exactly mean as we start to go later in the game? Because he's not outright winning it right now, and anything can really happen, especially in the mid lane. He's open to ganks, things happening. We're going to have to keep an eye on him to make sure that we catch it if it does. But Schofield hanging in close. Actually, power shot territory for Lionel. All he needs is one last right click and a power shot, and he's dead if he can angle it correctly. So, going to have to keep an eye on that and make sure that that doesn't... It looks like Lionel actually is going to go ahead and pop up a healing salve. Schofield the same way. So both these guys coming back into the lane fresh. Great minds think alike, I guess. Atsuya Fubuki taking a little bit of damage from that orb, but he's out of mana right now. With a bottle, is able to put himself right back up, but... I mean, this is a very mana-intensive hero. 110 mana per cast of Lightning Storm. And 125 if you want to try to get the Split Earth. He takes so much mana to operate correctly, and that bottle, even with getting the 2-minute runes, it's still, I mean, it takes up so much of that bottle charge. I mean, he's sitting at 585 mana right now, too. He's got 45 mana at level 6. It's pretty good for an hero, so. Sudamerican going in, just kind of diving right into a Lionel with that power shot, dealing a pretty good chunk of damage. Looking for the shackle. Lionel with a quick poke, maybe trying to find a leash of his own. Could have been it, but the shackle's still only level 1, not really looking for much damage. Oh god, I said it was going to happen, but I guess I didn't quite know where. Anglo Man, he'll go down as well here in the mid lane, but Sudamerican finding a kill on the Leshrac. And just like that, the one lane that was going alright for Luccini now is a glaring win for the puck here. As Union Gaming, again, winning out all 3 lanes. And Luccini, I gotta hand it to them. They are coming into these games with the right mindset.
Mid-tower's having technical difficulties,
but their execution just kind of feels off. And of course, a lot can be said about how these lanes sort of ended up, but I think these are very valuable replays for them to go back and watch and see where they could do better, because I definitely feel like a lot of this could have been done a little bit better, and they can definitely learn from this one. But for the time being, it's 3-0, not counting anyone out just yet, but Union Gaming taking commanding leads so far in the lanes. And the Golden XP grabs, well, they show it. 3,000 gold, 2,000 experience, and this is very reminiscent of the last game. Mid lane, there seems to be a little bit of a skirmish, but neither hero and here, Nightmare nor Sudamerican, have gone down. Both fairly low, but neither one out just yet. Net worth 3 highest all on the side of Union Gaming. Again, that just goes back to all 3 lanes winning. You notice the 3 highest are the 3 cores. So, yeah, take that one how you will, but this is just, from what it seems, Union Gaming putting on a clinic. Schofield down the bottom lane, continuing to just try to lay into a Lionel here. Level 6, so he should be able to regen, get back, and heal right back up to full. But how many times is he going to have to do that in the span of this lane? He does have an invis rune, though. This could end up giving them something in this lane that they can be that they can take to the bank. But we'll have to keep an eye on what happens down there. If he rotates for that, or if he tries to find one on his own. Looking for the leash, it looks like, but still not quite able to find anything. 2 points in leap for him. So that's an interesting skill build coming out. Nightmare, meanwhile, on the top lane, looking for a Fisher, constantly trying to be aggressive on this. When it comes Ben has, maybe trying to get a raise combo off to warrant a dive. Lionel, though, going in for the rune. He'll bottle the haste, but he doesn't go for it. He lets Sudamerican go. Instead, he's making his way down bottom. Maybe he wants Schofield. Not quite sure he can kill him, though. He makes one wrong move. He gets shackled to a tree. Level 2 shackle now, so he's got to be incredibly careful down here in this bottom lane. And actually, Lionel, he's getting chased all the way to his tier 2 tower. Guard packed out. Still no shackle. Still no attempt from either one to get aggressive. And this is just playing it quiet. Nightmare now looking for a double Fisher. They've got the paralyzing casket, and they just bring everyone down. Camusi, not long for this world. Anglermon's there, but I'm not quite sure what he's doing so far ahead. He puts up the telekinesis, but that's about all. Now he might actually be dead. Do they have another Fissure? If they can use it to get vision, they're underneath the tier 1 tower, and they're not afraid of a teleportation rotation. Instead, Anglemon's going to make his way in the mid lane, and that's about it. They sack their tier 1. Meanwhile, Eliadel looking for something. Again, looking for that initiation, that opening that he can get to start trying to scrape himself back into the game, but he's just not finding it. His net worth is closing in at about 1,000 behind. Now just 700 behind Schofield, but it's getting pretty scary for him. Meanwhile, another rotation around to try to go on to Kumzi. If they bring him down here, I mean, it's not really that incredible for them. And they're going to go ahead. A double Fissure. Where is this guy getting all these double Fissures from? Maybe they turn it around here. They pick him up. Eliadel's here. He goes for the kill. He gets it. That's one going the way of the Slark on Luccini. Putting themselves on the board and grabbing a kill. A much needed kill here in the top lane.
What's happening to
and we can take a look. That's 400 gold.
Structure's looking
right then and there. 262 face value for the Slark himself.
The Dire best do something about that bottom tower.
But meanwhile, Schofield, making use of this space, is just going to focus fire down the bottom tier 1 tower. No glyph to be spent, so he's just got it.
Tower's getting to business. Dire just couldn't save that bottom tower.
I mean, it's the only real tower that's in any sort of unhealthy position. Maybe the top tier 1, but it's still at about half health. And I don't know. Union Gaming are still running away with this game, although the grabs are probably not as steep as they used to be. Yeah, kind of routing out at about 5,000. Pulled back towards 1,500 in experience, but still objectively in favor of Union Gaming. We'll have to see if that changes, especially with this fight. There's going to be a chain frost slowing down Nightmare. He could drop again here. He's going to go ahead with the enchant totem, but the sword is continuing to just lay into him, and he'll go ahead and grab that kill. No more Maledict to bring him any lower than he already is, and getting him a little bit of heal up from his ultimate there. With the decay, looking out for Jerry. Can they clean him up? They need one more, just anything. But now things start to look a little bit scary for them. Schofield has come in, a decay for onto the sword, and a shackle. Anglemon is tied to the tree. Power shot. Oh no, the sword. His ultimate's run out. Focus fire. Schofield finds another kill. Double for him. And a dive. Just way too far for Luccini as they get caught with their pants down behind the enemy tier 1 tower. And without too much to say they accomplished there. Atsui is still trying to farm up here. He's in the river though. One Fissure could block him, but Nightmare opting not to go for it. Will throw it out now, but there's not really much follow-up. Just throwing it to say he got it, but maybe here's the follow-up. Ben Has comes in. Haste Rune, so he shouldn't miss any of these, and he won't. Ben Has will also get that last auto attack while stunned to find the kill. And that'll make the score 8-2. Union Gaming still with a lead in this one. A Fissure catches out Anglemon, but not really able to initiate on that one. There's no real follow-up right now. Ben Has down the bottom lane. Farmed very much. He's got 77 last hits, but the important thing here is his mech is done, and 800 gold on top of that. Meanwhile, Citadel, he's got enough gold for the Blink Dagger. And I imagine he'll be picking that one up very soon. Actually, he's going in onto Anglemon. Gets telekinesis up. Do they have any teleportations to punish this one? I'm actually not quite sure why he went in. And now he's going to die. He buys his Blink, but that was a very awkward initiation from Citadel.
The Dire win and fortify.
I guess just trying to make things interesting. Perhaps. Who knows? Schofield going to get hit with the Frost Blast, but not really taking too much out of him. He's going to be looking at a fairly early Aghanim Scepter. 400 gold towards that point booster. So he's at about 1,800 away from that right now. The sword, meanwhile, his items are looking fairly lackluster. He's got the buckler, he's got the arcane boots. But aside from that, not really too much. Teleportation's now coming in. Citadel and Jerry, they're up in the top lane. Their target is the sword. They silence him quickly. They hit him with a dream coil. Orb comes out. Maledict, or Malefice, not really needed. Or yeah, Maledict, sorry. Not really needed. They bring him down anyway. And that's the end of that. 9-3. It's just, I mean, it actually is a lot of gold that came out from that one. Kind of surprising, judging by the fact that Luccini is so far behind, but
the Dire might want to mine their top tower.
Either way, top tier 1 will go down. Mid tier 1 for Union Gaming getting pressured, but by no means in the grave just yet. In fact, the Fisher will block Katsuya. Oh man, this is a disaster for him. He Pulse Nova's up. Can he find a kill? He will not. Schofield barely getting away. One more Pulse Nova would have been enough to bring him down. But fortune favors the elite, I guess, in this game. Or fortune favors the one who's ahead. I don't know how you want to put it. The raw truth is, Union Gaming, everything's really just going their way right now. Sword looking for a decay. Anything to help defend this tier 1 tower, but he's got a double damage. He's just walking right up and throwing his fiery balls of doom at the tower, and there's not really much they can do about it now. They are giving him the daggers, trying to scare him off. The Fisher will come out, hits at the end of the range. A teleportation coming in. Atsuya has made his way back into the fray, but I mean, the fray is a very strong word. Nothing's really happened here, as Ben has backed himself off for the time being, not really pushing too hard in this one. He's got 2,400 gold. He's not in any rush to make anything happen. He's 5-0. His net worth 8,000 at 1,500 minutes, or at 15 minutes, 15 and a half minutes. 1,500 would be kind of ridiculous. So Ben has just, he's all right to farm up. Citadel as well. They're split up in different lanes, trying to get as much split farm between the two of them, and that's just a huge problem for Luccini. It looks like Atsuya, he's going to die again. A stolen Fisher. X marks the spot, but not really making anything really happen in this bottom lane by the Roche Pit. Atsuya, their mid hero, is just quickly becoming a support tier in terms of where he stands on the Golden XP chart. The sword, they've got the Waning Rift on him, but it looks like Citadel is just going to orb himself out. Sees that Kamuzi is coming in, could potentially turn it, and just turns tail. He might be going for a Yule Scepter of his own. Shadow Fiend, 3,200 gold, could be just going for a fast BKB. Jerry, 500 gold, not really building towards anything right yet. Nightmare, possibly going for the Blink. Schofield has his Aghanim Scepter ready to go, so no damage reduction onto him. And again, this is just looking really, really south for Luccini. I'm a broken record, I know, but I don't know what else to say about it. Luccini, they need a really, really good fight to come back from this one. And I mean, taking a 5-man wipe or giving a 5-man wipe to Union could be problematic. But if they get, well, if they get this, it could be huge. Nightmare taking a lot of damage. The Death Ward is going to go ahead and clean up Kamuzi. Can they find Atsuya Fubuki? They will. It's a 3-for-1 right now, and trouble strikes Union Gaming. I mean, they lose their puck. Citadel's down, but Luccini, they drop 3. And again, not exactly a disaster, as giving up 3 kills right now isn't exactly the worst thing in the world. Granted, you've already given up, what, the 11-4 or 11-3 before that, but I mean, every little bit counts. And Eliadel, he picked up a Midas to try to catch up, but it's not really going to accomplish much if this game doesn't go on for another couple of minutes. And Tier 2 falling. Union Gaming showing some patience, backing themselves off, and Eliadel is just trying to farm up. One good fight where he gets either a double, a triple, Pell even gets a rampage, and Luccini are still in this game, but it takes a huge, huge bulldozer to take down a mountain. And I don't know if one exists to go against the one that Union Gaming have amassed right now. Eliadel, maybe he looks to go toe-to-toe with Benhaz. He's going to pop out the Dark Pack, but he's not going to go for it. He's going to turn tail and run. He's not comfortable with it. And I mean, this is a problem, but at the same time, Benhaz does have a BKB. Killing him is akin to going to the moon. It's possible, but it takes a hell of a lot to do so. So Atsuya, he's still trying to farm up a little bit. Given farm priority, he is doing alright with the space, but alright might not be enough to cut it. We'll have to see what they can do with this one. They've grouped up 3 in the bottom lane. Maybe they look to grab a quick tier 1 tower, hoping that Union Gaming don't try to defend it. But the line's being drawn in the sand by Benhaz. They know exactly what they're going to do, and maybe they try for this defense. Maybe they even try to initiate on them. I don't think Nightmare nor Jerry are really worried about this. The steal comes out. Rubik getting a paralyzing cast, but it looks like Jerry's going to throw his own at the sword. The Nightmare is caught in. He's leashed up, but we'll get the Fisher out. There's a Death Ward coming out. The Nightmare, he's still alive. The sword taking a lot of damage. Jerry's still alive. He's still kicking the Death Ward near full duration out on both of them. And Eliadel, he drops.
Top tower's getting beat down.
An escape comes out. So Undying's still alive.
His top tower's gone.
But Eliadel goes down. And that is huge. He goes down 50 seconds before he can Midas again, but he needs to be farming and coming back in this game. If he dies, I mean, I don't know what to say anymore. Citadel, they want to try to go on the sword. Schofield's actually can probably just solo him. But instead, they want to go for Etsuya way back in the fight or in the map. And Etsuya, well, didn't really stand a chance. So 2 down right now on the side of Luccini, and Union Gaming are pushed up mid. They've got their hands down on the throat of Luccini, pressing harder and harder. Is it here they finally go for the killing blow? We'll have to see. But at some point, they've got to either put the struggling dog out of its misery, or the dog has to recover, and I'm not quite sure the latter is that possible right now. Probable? I get it's possible, but it's not probable. So Union Gaming will continue to push into the bottom lane, doing their best to secure this one without making any mistakes. Meanwhile, Luccini, they're just trying to find their opening, trying to make use of that one mistake that Union Gaming needs to make. Kamuzi will dedicate to the bottom lane, but Schofield just goes straight on in, fears nothing. Paralyzing cast comes out into him, but doesn't bounce anywhere.
Guess what's happening to Dyer's bottom tower?
Actually, it looks like it did. So, goes back to the creep wave for a little bit. But this bottom tier 2 tower, the last of the outer towers standing, no longer is part of this world. Meanwhile, Atsuya and Eliadel looking to take a tower of their own. Maybe try to get some gold from this. There is a glyph, but it won't be spent. They'll just take it, put that money in the bank, and hopefully try to win a fight with it. But just like that, Citadel, he goes ahead and he cleans up Anglemon, finds a 2-man Dream Coil, but there's not really much follow-up to make use of it. Instead, hold on, Benhaz. Schofield goes straight on in. They're just going right on into this one. Nightmare's in. He pops out the Echo Slam. Isn't really that potent, but doesn't exactly matter at this point. Chain Frost goes out. Jerry will go down. But just like that, it's a 4-for-1. Luccini is not really standing. Eliadel, he wants 1 kill. Will find it, but will he pay for this one with his life? He'll drop into Shadow Dance. Anglemon is back in the fray. The low time before he respawns. And it's a 2-for-4. The entire fight actually still in favor of Union Gaming, but plenty of experience going the way of Luccini. Still, probably. I mean, Eliadel goes straight on back to farm. You've got 2,000 gold, and by and large, his net worth isn't that bad. He's got 9,800, close to 10,000, which is about 3,000 behind the highest, which is out of the Shadow Fiend. But at this point, any net worth is better. Like, if he's above the puck, he's golden. That's where he needs to be right now. The top 3 cannot all be on the side of Union Gaming, or the game is just over. So, hold on, Eliadel. Does he know? He walks right by it. Oh, man, that's unfortunate. If he had just turned and gone for that one, he would have gotten the kill on the Schofield. And getting Schofield, this is a 6-0 Wind Ranger. Getting that kill would be damn near immaculate. But they won't throw just yet. Union Gaming, they pick up a Roshan. Aegis goes the way of Citadel. Looks like there was a little bit of tension between Citadel and Schofield on who got it. And now just like that, the push begins again. Eyes set on the middle lane. Eliadel, he's just going back into their jungle, farming up right now. Dire's courier has been killed, 1,800 net worth. What was on that courier? That was a, almost a bloodstone. Oh man, Atsuya, his bloodstone goes down. Don't think he had a point booster though, so I'm not quite sure if that could have been completed. Yeah, he does not have his point booster, so not a completed bloodstone, but still problematic to have that go down like that. Looks like a couple of people got an item for witnessing that kill, so that's pretty good. Plenty of viewers. Luccini is actually gonna. Oh man, the double initiation, Echo Slam and Fisher. Eliadel still barely alive, and he's fighting. He's looking in. He's a scrappy young little Slark. But they've lost their Leshrac.
That's 4.
Eliadel trying to find something here, but Cyril jumps straight on in, finds an Englamon. Nightmare will clean up Kamuzi, and the sword is just dropping so damn fast. Eliadel, the only one alive. And maybe not for very much longer. I can almost feel the GG's coming out very soon. It just feels like it's choking so hard.
No breaking through the
But
Dire's structures for now.
they still fight.
Dire's mid tower won't last much
They're
longer.
still confident that they can do something about this. And
Hope the Dire weren't partial to that mid
I don't know.
Dire's mid-rax is getting swamped.
Eliadel,
Dire's
I just don't know.
Didn't make it.
Ben has, and Union Gaming will just take a set of racks. No real contest. They move down to the bottom lane. A shackle out. Atsuya, he just goes down. Dagon from Citadel. A grave flies, but the sword, he's just going to go down as well. They've got a Chain Frost, and it's bouncing all right, but it just doesn't deal any damage. And finally the GGs fly here. Just a little bit past when it felt painful. And, you know, broken record or not, Union Gaming just put on an absolute clinic that game. They played amazingly well, and chalk it up to inexperience, chalk it up to nerves, whatever the case. Luccini, they just weren't able to play this one, I guess, how they wanted to play it. They had plenty of early game aggression from both their drafts, but they just lost their lanes. So take a step back, take a look at this game, and approach the lower bracket with a fresh mindset, because moving on from this point forward, at the rate that they just played, they'd be out of the tournament right quick. So Union Gaming will go on to face Sad Boys, and that it will be in the semifinals. Tomorrow we have 2 games. It will be looking at the brackets for you guys. Let's go to full screen so I can actually see it. Pain Gaming versus Samora Red, and Ince Esports versus Surus Gaming. And those guys will be fighting for their semi-final spots. So today, the matches are over. Union Gaming 2-0s, Sad Voids 2-0s, and that's it for me. So thank you for joining us. If you watched this entire time, I salute you. Otherwise, I hope to catch who's remaining tomorrow when the games start. Again, can't thank you enough. This has been Chicago Ted. I will catch you all next time.